Ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome to the launch of the 2014 Rio Convention's calendar, a calendar that celebrates the work and the synergies of the three Rio Conventions that were created in 1992, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, whose conference of the parties we're at now, the Convention on Biological Diversity, and the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. The calendar, the fabulous calendar, which you can see all around us, has been supported generously by sponsors, and we'll hear from those in a second. And it's also been painted wonderfully, I think, by 15 marvelous artists from around the world who've all contributed their expertise. And as you can see, the theme is small island states and the challenges that small island states are facing around the world, and that's particularly pertinent given we're at a climate change conference. First off, I'd like to invite three representatives of the UN conventions up on stage. We're very pleased to have Daniele Vittori, who's the UN Climate Change Chief. Cristiana Figueres is Chief of Staff. So Daniele, if you could come up on stage. Don't be shy. We've got Sakile Kokeliso from the Convention on Biological Diversity. And we've got Jasmine Metzler from the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. And perhaps if I could just get you all three of you in turn just to say a few words about the calendar and also the theme, small island states, which I know is something that you guys will do a lot of work with.
Thanks, Ed. Good evening. Well, this is becoming a very nice tradition of a COP to launch the calendar for the following year. Again, I can only start by thanking Entico and those who made this possible that are, of course, listed there. So it's 11 years, if I'm not mistaken, that this is happening. And of course, the Secretary is always very thankful to you and the sponsors. On the theme, I think there is no question that next year will be the year for small island developing states. There will be a very important SEEDS conference in Samoa at the end of the summer next year, which will be part of the whole post-Rio process, including the contribution to the post-2015 development agenda. So clearly is the right year for this theme, and has been, as you said, beautifully painted by a number of artists, and it's difficult to pick my favorite, but it's very nice. So thanks again, and well, hopefully it will be taken up by many people this. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to thank the sponsors for making the publication of the calendar possible, and also the artists who've done some wonderful artwork. As you know, the Convention on Biological Diversity is almost midway in implementing a strategic plan for biodiversity, including some targets that relate directly to climate change. But more specifically related to the theme on small island developing states, the convention actually has a work plan on island biodiversity, which is actually the best example of integrating biodiversity and climate change synergies. And so I think that this is a very good example of how small island developing states, their importance, and how we can integrate synergies amongst the three Rio Conventions for sustainable development. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to say a couple of words. On behalf of the UNCCD, I also would like to thank the sponsors, in particular Entico and the other two Rio Conventions, CBD and UNFCCC, for this collaboration we had over the last couple of years, and which will hopefully continue the next years. With regard to the theme, small island development countries, I think it's a great theme to show how desertification and drought can affect some of the livelihood of some of the most vulnerable and poor people, leading to loss of biodiversity. And of course, climate change is further worsening these negative impacts. And that's why I think it's great to have 2014 dedicated to this theme and to try to impact positively the development of the small island development countries. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, guys. If we can, you guys can leave the stage. Exit left. I don't want to push you off, Daniele. If I can invite our 3 of our sponsors. We had 12 marvellous sponsors, but 3 of them have turned up today. Pack Oasis, David James. Ahmad, if I can invite Mr. Diallo up onto the stage. And EBIDS as well, Dr. Joseph. So thank you to these 3 sponsors who've kindly joined us today. David, if we can start with you, can you say a few words about why you decided to sponsor this calendar and also Pack Oasis's contribution to a more sustainable world?
Certainly. Well, for us, this calendar really highlights the importance of water and water scarcity. And Pack Oasis, we're a water engineering company, and so we are only too aware of the issues faced by small islands and developing countries with regards water and, as I said, water scarcity. Now, I think what this calendar does do is it highlights this, and from that, the next takeaway is, well, what solutions are there to this problem? And my company, Pack Oasis, what we're trying to do is develop innovative solutions through the use of technology, through reducing the cost of desalination to allow us to use, for example, renewable energies like solar, to allow solar desalination, to recycle and reuse wastewater and create biofertilizers and reuse water for irrigation purposes and create this whole integrated water management process in developing countries centered around sustainable, renewable technologies and energies. And so I think it's really great that we've had the opportunity to sponsor this calendar, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today.
Thank you very much, David. Next, Mr. Diallo from Ahmad.
I'm sorry, I have to speak in French. Mesdames, vous savez tous qu'en Afrique, nous sommes confrontés depuis longtemps à des situations climatiques sévères qui se sont aggravées. On dit que c'est une des manifestations du changement climatique. Au niveau de Ahmad, notre contribution, c'est de travailler à approfondir les connaissances en matière du climat et du changement climatique et de travailler au renforcement des capacités des services fournisseurs de services climatiques pour qu'ils puissent contribuer au niveau de leurs États à la prise en charge des activités socio-économiques. Et vous savez très bien qu'en Afrique, l'essentiel des activités sont tributaires du climat et donc exposent les populations à des situations difficiles quand nous faisons face à des chocs climatiques. Et c'est en cela que nous avons engagé donc cette activité et nous la faisons en collaboration avec des institutions du Nord sur le plan technique, sur le plan scientifique et sur le plan financier. Je voudrais ici lancer un appel parce que c'est une tribune heureuse pour que les partenaires du Nord jettent un coup d'œil aux services météorologiques nationaux afin de leur permettre de remplir leur part de devoir, alors que nous avons établi au niveau mondial ce que nous avons appelé le cadre mondial de services climatologiques. Ils ne peuvent y contribuer que s'ils sont suffisamment dotés en personnel et en moyens. Et je sais que les négociations qui sont en cours vont peut-être nous permettre d'avoir des lueurs et d'espoir. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Mr. Diallo. And finally, Dr. Joseph from EBID.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I bring these remarks on behalf of our president, Mr. Bashar Ifo, who was unavoidably absent from this meeting. He would have loved to be here. On behalf of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, is a regional financial institution across 15 ECOWAS countries. We are glad to provide support for the Rio Calendar events because we believe in what you are doing, because we believe there's a close connection between climate change and economic development in the ECOWAS region, which is what we are positioned for. And looking at the theme of the calendar event, linking biodiversity with desertification and energy. And this falls within the core mandate of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development because we provide support across the ECOWAS region to integrate infrastructures and across the region. And we believe that in a region that where you have over 40% of the people live on less than $1.25 a day, and climate change will exacerbate the poverty in the region, and that's where the ECOWAS Bank is providing access to capital to alleviate in terms of adaptation and also to mitigate the effects of climate change. We fully support the launching of the calendar. Thank you.
Well, thanks again to 3 of our sponsors here and everyone else who sponsored the calendar, and also to the representatives from the 3 Rio conventions. Thank you very much.